The Three-Legged Man. Born in Sicily in 1881, Francesco Lentini was popularly known as the King of the Freaks. Francesco was born with an almost entirely complete third leg and reportedly fully functioning genitalia. Lentini's condition was the result of a partially formed twin that didn't separate properly from his body. Frank's parents brought him to America as a young child, but he quickly became depressed when he realized how different he was from other children. However, after spending time at a school for disabled children, Frank had a change of heart after seeing blind and deaf kids whom he thought were much worse off than he was. Accepting himself and his unusual body was an emotional breakthrough for Frank, and it led to his career in the sideshow. Frank became famous for performing feats like kicking a soccer ball with his third leg or jumping rope. He eventually worked with all the major circuses and became extremely well respected within the sideshow community. The Lion-Faced Man. Born in 1891 in modern-day Poland, Stefan Bobrowski was an ordinary boy except for one startling fact. He suffered from hypertrichosis, a disorder that caused a thick coat of hair to grow all over his body and his face. His mother was convinced that the affliction was the result of her witnessing Stefan's father being attacked by a lion when she was pregnant, making the boy cursed. Thinking that her son was somehow inhuman, Stefan's mother gave him away to a German entertainer. Turns out Stefan was not a monster at all. In fact, he was well known for being a kind, gentle, and intelligent man who spoke 5 languages. He spent a portion of his act simply talking to his audience. Stefan was so successful as a circus performer that he was able to retire in his 30s and return to Europe. Sadly, he died of a heart attack at the age of 41. The Human Skeleton. Isaac Sprague was a perfectly normal boy until the age of 12, when he began to suffer from a mysterious illness. He lost weight at an incredible rate until finally his muscles had virtually evaporated. In his adult years, he weighed no more than 43 pounds. The condition left him unable to perform any normal jobs, so to pay the bills, Isaac joined the sideshow. Sprague spent most of his career working with the iconic showman P.T. Barnum, touring with him and also performing at his museum. Eventually, Isaac's condition wore out his fragile body and he died at the age of 46. However, as a result of Sprague's popularity, living skeleton acts became common at many sideshows. The Camel Girl. Ella Harper was born with an unusual orthopedic condition called congenital genu recurvatum, also known as back knee deformity, that allowed her to bend her knees completely backwards. Amazingly, she also preferred to walk on all fours. In the 1880s, Ella was a star of a major sideshow billed as the Camel Girl and would appear on stage with alongside a real camel. Newspapers touted Ella as the most wonderful freak of nature since the creation of the world, and that her counterpart never did exist. But Ella herself was modest and not interested in stardom. Ella appears to have left show business around the turn of the century and never returned to the sideshow stage. Ella married a schoolteacher shortly after her retirement and lived quietly with her husband in Nashville, Tennessee. She later died there of cancer in 1921. The Human Caterpillar. Also billed as the Human Torso, Prince Randian, birth name unknown, was possibly the inspiration for the Aquaboy character in the best-selling book Greek Love. Prince Randian was born with tetra amelia syndrome, a disorder that causes the person to be born without limbs. And he was brought to America at the age of 18 by P.T. Barnum himself. Randian found fame by performing a human snake act, where he'd wear a one-piece outfit and crawl across the stage. He would also write on a piece of paper with his mouth, roll a cigarette, and shave with a razor embedded in a wood block. Randian was very capable without limbs. In fact, he made all his circus props himself. Amazingly, he was also extremely intelligent and multilingual. The Seven-Legged Lamb. The Seven-Legged Lamb was found on July 31st, 2007, in a farm near Christchurch, situated on the South Island of New Zealand. 2 of the extra legs hang uselessly behind the lamb's forelegs. The animal has 3 hind legs, one of them with 2 hooves. To walk, the animal uses its 2 forelegs and 3 hind legs. Veterinarian Steve Williams at the Canterbury Vets Clinic said he believed an error during embryo formation had resulted in the lamb being born polydactyl, with many legs, a condition that occurs once in several million sheep. The Four-Legged Woman. A native of Tennessee, Myrtle Corbin was billed by Barnum as the Four-Legged Woman. She was born in 1868 as a dipygus, a person born with two of everything from the navel down, including two pelvises and four legs. She was put on display as an infant by her father, who toured her around the country. Her father negotiated a contract with Barnum and Bailey when she was just 13 or 14 years old. Corbin was paid $250 a week until she left the circus in 1886. She was incredibly popular, and her reproductive and sexual abnormalities were of particular interest. Corbin went on to marry and have children, after which she returned to a life in the circus in 1909. The tallest woman in the world. Zhang Jinlian was the tallest woman to ever walk this earth. The Chinese girl stood 8 feet 1 3/4 inches. Her hands measured 25.5 centimeters, or 10 inches, and her feet measured 35.5 centimeters, or 14 inches in length. Sadly, she suffered from severe spine issues, and she couldn't stand up straight. She died later in 1982 at the age of only 17, and was the oldest recorded person in the entire world at the moment of her death. The shortest person in recorded history. Chandra Bahadur Dangi was born in Kalamati, Nepal on the 30th of November, 1939. At 21.5 inches, Chandra Bahadur Dangi was the world's shortest person in recorded history. Born in the village of Kalamati in the Salian district of Nepal, he was of average birth size, but by the time he was 4, his mother noticed that his friends were outgrowing him. He was given bone-strengthening medicine, but he did not grow any further. Mr. Dangi held 2 world records, the world's shortest man and the shortest person ever recorded, and was recognized by the Guinness Book of Records on February 26, 2012. Dangi died at 75 years old in Pago Pago, American Samoa on September 3, 2015. The Rubber Man. James Morris was born in New York during the 1800s with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, the strange ability to stretch his skin to unbelievable lengths. Touring as the India Rubber Man, or the Elastic Skin Wonder, he was extremely popular, especially when he took the skin around his neck and pulled it over his eyes. Entertaining his friends for years, even when he was in the military, Morris built up a large reputation which enabled him to carve out a career for himself. Yet another successful participant in the Barnum Circus, Morris earned as much as $300 a week, though he succumbed to various addictions and had to get a second job as a barber to fund his activities. Unfortunately, the disorder which granted him his incredible ability was also extremely painful, and welts and scars often formed in the areas that Morris stretched.